I knew the title. I was like, I want to write a song called Ranch Water. We recorded it in their garage, and then from there, it just kind of took off.
On today's episode, I'm joined by singer-songwriter Story Slaughter. And yes, that's her real name. She went from pursuing acting to taking a leap of faith into music during the pandemic, releasing her first single, Ranch Water, which quickly gained millions of streams and set the tone for her heartfelt, Texas-rooted sound.
It was hard because when I first put out Ranch Water, I very much had the healthy mentality of like, why not you? And then the dust settled and I was like, no, but why me?
We talk about the magic of creating without expectations, the challenge of balancing personal storytelling with privacy, and why performing live unlocks her boldest self. Welcome to Create.Repeat.
Voices in my head telling me it's now or never. Just turned 31, I can't deny the pressure. Even at my best, I know that I can do better. Running out of time, but how the hell can you measure your life?
Hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having
Story
me.
Slaughter.
Yes.
First off, that's the greatest name of all time. You know
I agree.
That? Yeah. Is there a burden with that, of having such a good name? Like you feel like you have to live up to it?
You know, probably. Yeah. I think it imbued me with like a sense, an ego.
Yeah.
When I was really young.
Something I was interested in when I first met you is how good of a storyteller you are. And do you think that was just like manifested, like your parents just made you be a good storyteller?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes. You can't give a kid that good of a name and then not expect them to be like, I'm the star.
Yeah. I'm the story here.
I'm the story.
Do you ever get sick of people commenting on your name?
No, I really don't.
That's good.
I do get tired of people thinking it's made up.
I think that's what probably viewers are thinking. Like, that's a stage name.
Yeah.
Story Slaughter is too perfect to be a real name.
So at some point, if anybody ever cares, I will release my birth records.
Please do it with your social security number. No.
I will. People will be very disappointed.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, she has.
And it's just story.
Not
it's
much.
It's not short for anything, right? It's just story.
No, it's just story.
It's not like Storyus or I don't even know.
Are you Zacchaeus?
No, I'm Zachary.
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 Strong.
Zachary, but Zach, Zack. I ride
You
hard for
trick
Zach.
people.
Here's my thing. Zach, Zack is strong.
I agree.
Zach, it's a little soft.
I totally agree.
And Zachary is Zach Hurry.
Yeah, what is
You
that?
don't really like, but it's Hurry. It's not Zach Airy. It's Zach Hurry. So
Names are important.
they really are.
They really are.
Zach, Story, two very unique names.
Very unique.
Yeah.
We're on the same level.
We really are. I
Yeah.
think that's what we connected about the first time we met each other. I'm like, oh, we both have these unique names and I want to get to know you more.
Yeah.
Time out. Sorry for this rude interruption, but I just wanted to mention that shirt that I am currently wearing is now available over at Create.Repeat.com, as well as a hoodie in the exact same style. The front of it says Create Repeat, while the back says our motto, history repeats, create the future. Go check it out right now. Once again, that's Create.Repeat.com. Okay, back to the interview with Story. So for those who might not know you, in your own words, can you just describe what do you do?
I write songs and then I sing them to people. That's what I do.
That's perfect. And you write really good songs and you're a great singer.
Thank you.
In my humble opinion.
I appreciate that.
I had the pleasure of knowing you before I saw you perform ever.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Story and I are friends.
We are.
And when I met you, I knew that you did music. You were just starting to like kind of get out there.
Yeah.
But I'd never seen you do your thing. So I know you as just like Story, as his friend. And I'm telling you, the first time I ever saw you perform live, I was blown away because it's so cool to see somebody doing what they do best. Because you never know, when you go and support a friend and you go to their show, you're like, I really hope this is good. I really hope this is good. But something that I remember joking about with Morgan, my wife, and our friend, is that Morgan. It was stage Story up there. You were this person up there that
you and Morgan coined that for sure.
Stage
and I love it.
Story. So I guess my opening question for you is stage Story this alter ego that you have to tap into, or is the true alter ego the person that I met and the stage Story is the real you?
Wow. I've
Think about
never
it for
been
a sec.
faced with this moment, but truly, I think that stage story is real story.
Yeah.
And not stage story is like not walking in confidence, not walking in any sort of assurance. And then stage story is like you have to just lean in.
Right.
And it's really freeing. And I don't ever I love to chat. That's why I'm so happy to be here. But on stage and stuff, like with people ask me like, do you prepare what you say? I'm like, no, I'm just comfortable. I'm happy. I'm just with friends, you know, talking to friends. But yeah, stage story is maybe the real me.
That was the sense that I got when I saw you perform. I highly recommend seeing Story perform because, you're amazing. And you're also very funny.
Oh
too.
my gosh, thank you.
I want to give you that compliment. Like
Zach,
you're
that's
funny.
Really nice.
You know, like when you're at a concert and the musician starts talking and you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to hear what they have to say. Mm-hmm. You're one of those from like, oh, she could do a set right now. She can do a stand-up set. Yeah.
That's so nice. Well, I've really struggled in relationships and I didn't have my first kiss till I was 20 and I've still never had a boyfriend. So I think it's helped with my personality.
Sure.
And
your music is very it's very personal to you. And I think what's really fascinating to me that I kind of just learned recently was you were really pursuing a career as being an actress. And then sort of like the pandemic happened and you decided to pivot. Can you just walk me through that? Like what was that? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2020 happens to all of us.
Happened to all of us.
It truly did. And I had an agent at the time and I was I would go out like maybe like 5 times a year. And it was so not sustainable. And like all artists, it was like I was finding more opportunities on my own terms anyway.
Yeah.
I produced a little play with my friends. I was, making shorts and helping people with short films and things like that. I did a little bit of voiceover work. And I was just like, first of all, this agent relationship isn't totally working. And then the pandemic happened in the midst of that. And I was like, everything just was at a standstill.
It's the worst. Yeah.
And I just kind of was brought to a place that I think a lot of us were brought to of, okay, if this is the new normal and the world really is like closing down, then like what is something that I want to do that scares me?
Yeah.
But also, because who cares? Because,
the world's ending. Who cares?
The world's ending and nobody... there was a huge freedom in the mindset shift. And so I was like, well, I grew up singing. I love musical theater, but I'm an alto. So, I was at the bottom of the barrel in my choir. And I did a little bit of worship leading in my past. And I just thought I've always wanted to put out a song that's my own. I just want to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And so I hit up my friend Susie Yanku and I was like, I have this idea for a song. I knew the title. I was like, I want to write a song called Ranch Water. And she was like, okay. And I went to her house and I brought Chinese food and we we're social distancing. So I was on one side of the yard. She was on the other. We had like a bottle of wine and we wrote the song in probably an hour. And it was just like for fun. It was just like let's just try this. And then a couple days later, she called me and she was like, this song has been stuck in my head every day. Like, that's a really good sign. Like, I think you need to record it. And I was like, okay. I have $8. Where do I go? What do I do? And she introduced me to her wonderful friend, Matthias Mora. And they were like, I'll do it for, a budget. I'll help you out. Let's just have fun. And we recorded it in their garage. And then from there, it just kind of took off.
Took off. I mean, I looked it up, not trying to embarrass you, but it has like 4 million streams on Spotify.
Yeah.
That's your first single?
It was my first single.
That's nuts.
It's lightning in a bottle, really.
Yeah. So what was that like when it was starting to take off? Were you, because I feel like if I was in that situation, I'd either be like, everything I touch is gold. Yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. Is that what you did?
Yeah. Well, it was like the juxtaposition compared to the acting journey was so insane because acting, it was like I would audition or, try and network and do all these things and every door was closed. And then with music, it's like I knock once and the door flies open. Yeah. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is the light. This is like the path that I need to take. Like, goodbye acting, hello music, and it snowballed pretty quickly. Like I had this guy, Troy, who is my booking agent. He reached out to me over Instagram and he was like, "Who are you? My wife has a song on her playlist and it's in my house all the time. And who are you? Like you only have one song." I was like, "I'm nobody," you know? And then from there, like he got me management and they were like, "Let's get you in rooms with these songwriters and producers who are really great." And it just kind of like, for the first time, you know, it was like the Fleabag monologue of like, just tell me what to do. It was like I had somebody just like telling me what to do. And it was so nice. I was like, oh my God, I'll just do whatever they say.
Yeah.
But along that road, it was like totally self-funded. So all of this stuff and, you know, which I didn't really realize it snowballing at the time. But one day I woke up and I was like, oh my God, like I have no money and I poured it all into this. And I don't even know this industry.
Right.
Like I'm brand new. And so it was terrifying, but it was exciting. And it was like, there was a lot of success and I was having so much fun working with these artists and writers and producers that like I had been fans of, and I was getting to be in rooms with them. And it was really special, but then it also kind of came to a halt in a way too. Cause it was like, this industry is self-funded.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
You know,
cause I don't know much about the music industry, but what I do know is like, you know, it could be shady at times or it's not everything what it seems. I imagine jumping into that and having success and not knowing what to do. That's tricky. Cause you studied acting, right? Like theater and all that stuff.
I'm a thespian.
That hence stage story. Maybe maybe there's the connection there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, Ranch Water, look, if you haven't heard it, just pause this right now and go listen to it because it is a bop.
Oh my God.
And it was one of those too where I think Morgan was playing it. I didn't know it was you. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. It's so good. It can fit in one of those playlists of like the cool girl, the Phoebe Bridgers, the like, like those types of nice people where you're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And it's like, oh, it's story. It's like, what? This is so amazing.
Yeah.
So like when you have that song take off, what was the process like of writing the next song? Did you feel like a pressure for that or you? Yeah.
That's such a good question. Yeah, I really did. And the second song I wrote, oh, this is so terrible to admit. So the second song I wrote, I released it and it went out into the world and it was called Electric Pink Guitar. And I was really proud of it. I thought it was really fun. And then at the time, my manager was trying to get me in the door with certain labels.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just this one woman at this one label who was interested in me, but she didn't like the song. And I just panicked and I like took it off of all platforms. And I was like, okay, I guess that was a wrong move. And I wish I hadn't. I wish I had just like said, who cares? Okay, I'll keep writing. But I was, that's when like second song is when everything started to I was like, okay, I'm in this.
Yeah.
And what does that even mean? And what does this look like? And who am I? And what do I,
have you struggled like owning that side of you that you're now this artist, this musician? Cause I mean, it's always, there's such a fear of stepping out, especially like in social media or just around with your friends, especially like having friends that are all creative, all talented, and then just stepping out and be like, this is what I do now. And then you have success with it. And then like you're saying, like it's either a flop or someone doesn't like it. Like that's difficult to deal with. Like what's your relationship with, I guess, like
the vulnerability
and releasing things to the public?
So it became very scary very quickly that music is about, it comes from your life, your own life experience, and acting is taking what a writer's given you and like surrendering to that, right? And so you're just kind of like giving in to something, whereas with music, it's like you are showing something of yourself. And I think I got really scared very quickly of like, I don't know that, like it was hard because when I first put out Ranch Water, I very much had the healthy mentality of like, who cares? Like just do it. Like if like why not you? And then the dust settled and I was like, no, but why me? Why not me, but also why me? And it's been a very interesting like excavation of like, okay, what parts of me are marketable, what parts of me are interesting, what life experience do I have that I should write about and share. And it's so back to like I released the second song, Panicked, wrote a third song. That third song, I shared it with my family, and my parents specifically, and they were like, this is too personal. This is too, they were hurt by what I shared. I was kind of
that's
talking
hard.
about some,
Yeah.
I was talking about some life experience that they did not realize was my point of view. And they were like, not only did we not know this, but you're going to put this out to the world. This is how you feel about this certain topic. And then I panicked and I tabled that song as well. And then the next song I wrote, Southwest Serenade, was my second single. And I do love that song. But it has a line in there where it speaks to the grief of like that I lost my cousin when I was in college. And that little line itself was like, also hard because my family's very private, and they were like, is this okay that you're sharing this part of your life? And so it got really hard very quick to realize in music, specifically when I'm writing about my own life, I'm also writing about the lives of everybody else in my life.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah,
that I think you're spot on with like being a musician. What makes you special is your uniqueness, is telling the stories that only you can tell.
Yeah.
But you know, battling with whether it be family or whether it be representation, kind of clogging for any artist, right? Like that's really tough because I think like what you're saying, like Ranch Water, it deals with themes of choosing kind of this dream that you're chasing over being back home, over a family, over those things, and kind of comparing yourself to these friends that live in the big houses in Dallas or wherever where you left. What's your relationship? I'm curious, like, what's your relationship with that now? Because I know when what were you, 26?
I was 26.
Yeah, because you talk about 26 at my friend's party. Once again, if you haven't listened to the song, pause it and listen to the song. But
thank you.
Like you really talk about, and I think that's something that many people who move to LA move away from their support system, their families, and you grow this chosen family of friends, but there's always this tether that you have back home, and you feel very much, you know, all of your music, you're from Texas.
I'm from,
and all of your music is very much infused with that Texas flavor. Where are you currently with that? Is Ranch Water still as relevant as it was when you wrote that song originally?
It's a great question again. It is still relevant, but I think thankfully my relationship to the insecurity of not having my life look a certain way, I have a much healthier relationship to now because I do love my life so much and I'm so grateful for what my life looks like. But especially when I am home and I still have so many sweet friends. I'm really lucky that I have maintained so many friendships and relationships back home after all these years away. And I can say with confidence that all of my friends that live in Dallas from my high school are all married and all parents, and every single one of them. And so there is definitely like I'm hit with okay, our lives look really different.
Yeah.
And, you know, as it should be, when your friends become parents, and I guess that's where Ranch Water's graduated to. It's like, it's not just about marriage and about being settled in a home. It's now like they have started families.
Yeah.
And especially the women in my life who've had babies, it's like, that is their whole world, as it should be.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I fit because I can't speak to motherhood. And there's just this whole lack of understanding about what they've been through that I just don't know cerebrally. Right. I can empathize, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And so of course, like their community is a community of mothers and people who are in similar life stages. So I feel isolated when I go home and away, but it's not bad. And I think I used to be really insecure that I couldn't have it all at once. And now I feel better, but I'm very grateful. I'm like, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it's okay to not be ready. It's okay to be a late bloomer. It's okay to
100%
start later. Yeah.
I mean, but that is like a pressure, I think, I mean, Morgan and I deal with that too. We don't have kids, and it's, you're trying to go out and live out this dream. And I know even just personally, sometimes I have to check myself and go like, am I doing the right thing? Am I me pursuing this career? Is that the right thing I'm supposed to be doing? Currently I feel that way. Yes. But I definitely wrestle as well with like that self-doubt and family pressure and all that stuff where, and it is an isolating thing. I can relate to that, but not on your level, but I get that.
No, and it's hard because you see those, like I look at my friends who have families and like they are satisfied.
Yeah, totally.
Like they are happy and they are grateful. It's hard. It's hard work. It's exhausting. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they're like, they feel this kind of fulfillment that I'm not saying that the creative industry is a substitute for.
Yeah.
I think it's different.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, if you're doing well in your career, then that'll fill that hole.
Mm-hmm.
No, not necessarily. It's just different. It's just two different things that you're seeking. But it was interesting when I put out Ranch Water, a number of my friends were like, is this song about me? And I was like, it's not about anyone in particular. It's a general feeling. But I could see their insecurity come out of like, do you think that I've just,
I'm just a mom now living in this nice house.
Yeah, like I've settled in some way. And I'm like, no, I'm just jealous that wasn't my first dream.
Yeah.
That's like another dream. That's a secondary dream over here,
Yeah.
But for you, that is your dream and you've achieved your dream. So that's incredible. But I'm the one that's insecure. You don't need to be insecure. But they were, they were. And, but the flip side of it has been like, since the song has come out, I've had so many strangers DM me. And I'm like, makes it so worth it. Is the women especially who are like, I heard your song. I'm from Missouri. I'm from Kansas. I'm from Oklahoma. And I moved to New York or LA or Chicago or whatever. And I'm trying to do this thing outside of my comfort zone. And it's nice to know that other people are too. And it's,
there's relatability in the isolation of feeling that way. So many people, I mean, being in a transplant city, it's so many people deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah. And there are literally so many people here.
So we're bound to have some common ground.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So after, Ranch Water and you're releasing these songs, like, and you're hearing these voices from people, right? Mm. How do you deal with that? Like, are you able to shut that off and try to just be, for lack of a better term, stage story and just like create that stuff? Or like, do you struggle with having that filter of the people that you care about the most, let their opinions affect your art?
Yeah, no, I'm a terrible people pleaser. And I truly I stay up at night wondering like, will I ever truly make it if I don't just completely go one direction of like, I don't care what anybody thinks and just doing what's cool and what's big and what's shocking versus like trying to tread some line. And I think that any artist feels this way. Like any actor is faced with that one part where it's like, ooh, do I want to do nudity? Not to like compare apples to oranges, but it's like you're presented with risks in any career.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you willing to do, like, what is your threshold? And I think as I age, I'm definitely getting better at it. It's amazing to watch artists who start at 16, 17 that are able to talk about their lives in such open and vulnerable ways. I'm like, they deserve the praise.
Yeah.
But I also just can't, I'm pretty, for lack of a better term, enmeshed with my family. I love my parents and they're like my best friends. And so it's hard if there's something that they, don't like.
Yeah.
But so I'm in an interesting place because I'm going to put out a new song.
Okay.
Soon.
Okay.
Excited. And the song that it is the song that I tabled, the third song I wrote.
Really?
But I rewrote the lyrics because it's interesting. It's like that was meant to be because the song, like the production, I worked with Matthias again, and it's sick. Like I love what they did on the track of it, but the lyrics, I was like, oh, like revisiting the lyrics, they weren't good.
Sure.
Like I'm glad I have this opportunity to rewrite it.
Yeah.
And so in that way, the people pleasing like worked in my favor, and it all, you know,
it wasn't meant to go out at that time.
It wasn't meant to be at that time, and now it feels right.
Yeah.
And there was like one line in there where I was like, parents, I'm keeping this line. And they were like, okay.
Okay.
And I'm like,
that's fine.
And that's progress.
That's so tricky though, because like deep down, those are the two people that you want to like your music probably the most ever.
You want your parents to be proud of you.
You do. Like it's all just inherently built in us, you know, or a lot of us it is. And so that is tricky. And you know, moms, dads, they're notorious for telling you what they think about it. Cause you know, they raised you. That's how you learned who you are.
Yeah.
Shaming that. But that takes a lot of courage. I feel like it could seem a little silly sometimes, but that's sometimes the biggest courage to leap over, of being okay with that and letting people know that, you know, your work is going to touch other people and relate to them. And it might not be the people directly in your life.
Yeah.
That's hard. How do you, so when you do look back on Ranch Water, and I promise we'll move on from Ranch Water off later,
it is the hit.
It is the hit. We're playing the hits here, but it is, once again, pause this episode if you haven't listened to it and listen, because it's a hit and you'll be singing it. But you know, what do you think is like the biggest lesson that you've learned, like that story in the pandemic who wrote Ranch Water compared to the story now who has had success in that and has had tried writing other songs and has done, you know, different things, and you're on this journey now? Like what's the biggest lesson learned in that time?
It's keeping that freeing mentality of like doing something for the love of the game, and not doing it with any expectations of commercial success. Just doing it because you love it. And I'm like really trying to get back to that place. But of course it's hard, because as artists, we would like to be paid for our work. We put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's very vulnerable, and it's you know, it's an act of bravery, but it can't be about that, you know, sadly. And Ranch Water wasn't. Ranch Water was so done with the mentality of like, I just want to do this to say I did it. I want to do it before the world ends. I want to, you know, just who cares? Who cares? And if it's bad, okay, then it's bad. But at least I tried. At least I put something out there.
Yeah.
That whole mentality has been completely lost in a you know, attempt to try and make this a career and make money and be marketable and figure out what do people want and what's cool, and that has not served me well.
Do you have any tactics or rituals or anything to try to get you into that mindset of like, this is the artist side of me, like I'm gonna try to like, you know, let go of everything and get back there and not try to worry about the business side? Because I think a lot of people in any creative industry, the second you turn it into your job, there's now a pressure involved, but yet the reason why it's your job in the first place is exactly that. You just decided to call your friend up in the backyard one day and have no expectations. Well, now there's expectations.
Yeah.
Is there anything you do to try to shut that off?
You know, the best thing I've done in my creative life is I've stayed in acting class.
Okay.
I've been in the same acting class for like a decade, and I have never let that go. And even in 2020 when I stopped acting, and it's been 4 years of it not being my technical job, but I'm in it because I love it. And it's not for any other reason than like to do that work it like teaches you how to be a better human being. And it's like if you find a really good trainer, personal trainer, and you're like, I just want to keep strong. I want to keep in shape. It's like, that's how I feel about acting. And the freedom of like, I'm not doing it to be successful in that industry or like to network or to whatever. Like, I'm just doing it because I love it, is the best, most freeing mentality about anything in the arts and being creative. And I will say, like, when it comes to music and that practice, musicians are amazing people. And like most musicians, they are not doing it for money. They are doing it because they love it. And so meeting other musicians and like having a session or just being like, we should write something for this, or like, let's see if we vibe. That has been so sweet and so fun. And it's easier to do with music than acting, because acting, you kind of need a space.
Right.
That space is required. And
because we've all done like acting in a living room, and it's just not
We've all tried. It's not the episode of Girls that we want it to be, you know?
Did you ever have to do acting classes over Zoom?
Yes.
How was that?
It was very sweet. It's, you know,
That's
it's like, oh, we're all just something to fill our day. But you know, it was good because it kept me reading plays, and it kept me curious, and like all of us, it was fun to check in, and we were all, you know, quarantining from different places in the world, because a lot of people went home. Quarantine. So it was like people in my acting class that are in New York or wherever. And it was just good to stay connected. But it's a little weird.
Yeah, for sure.
That's okay.
It's just like anything on Zoom, you know, like.
It's like anything on Zoom.
Yeah. You're like, are these people real? Probably not.
Probably not.
And I'm just talking here and like, is this a real business or whatever you're doing?
It's not a real business.
Yeah. So I know you shot a music video a while ago. I'm not sure when that's going to come out. So maybe it's out already, maybe it's not, but
it's not out, and I'm not sure when it's coming out either.
Well, guess what? We're building the hype now because it's awesome. But you were able to, you know, infuse like story into it, and you got to, not your name, but like actually, I guess in a weird way, but like you were able to act in it. You're kind of telling a story through this music video. Was that fun, being able to blend the acting side with the music side of you?
It was so fun, and it was so selfish of me to do it, because everybody was like, don't you need to look at the camera at least once and say the words? And I was like, I'm not going to. I don't know if this has been done. If it's been done, you know, write it in the comments. But I basically just wanted to make, oh my gosh, my grandma's bracelet just came undone. Pause
for grandma's bracelet.
ASMR.
And this time too, maybe just go pause and listen to Ranch Water. It's a great song.
Really
listen to it for a second time. Let's get those streams up.
Thank you. The streams are really important.
Yeah, we need to pay the bills here.
We really need to pay the bills because they're not being paid. And that's okay. Debt builds character.
I think there's a song there.
There's a song there.
I think so.
The best of us have been, you know, desperate. Anyway, what were we talking about?
We're talking about your music video.
Oh, my music video.
Acting while doing.
So it's basically a short, but the music is going to go over the short. And I watched a first cut of it recently.
Yeah.
And it's giving foreign film. Because it's like, does this match? And I'm so here
vibes?
for it. It's just vibes.
Oh, I love it.
But it really is. I'm so spoiled because, like you and Morgan, like I'm just, all my friends are really talented and really amazing. And I just called upon a team. Morgan was included in that team of people to help me make it. And it's so, to me, I'm like, it's so good. For like,
I love that.
And it's so good because of everybody else who's a part of it, not because of me. I'm just like, oh, I can't believe that I'm in this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and it's because it's mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's so silly. That's so sweet.
We just decided to do this. And
we just decided to do this. And that's the best part of like being at this stage of not successful, but the potential is there. Like all of us are so hungry and willing to help. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what people think. People might hate it, be like, this makes no sense. And I don't care because I got to act with my incredibly talented friend, Dylan Arnold. And I'm very blessed to have him be a part of it. And I wrote a short that we did record sound for.
Okay.
So there is potential for there to be like the music video part of like version and then a short film
like
version.
The director's cut, like long.
Yeah.
I always loved that where it's like in the middle of a music video, it like stops and like a scene happens. I feel like NSYNC weirdly did that a lot. It'd be like bye, and it would just, I would know. This is like the 5th time I brought up NSYNC on this podcast, so I apologize. But yeah, I'm always
manifesting.
I'm always a fan of that. You know, it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Do you what's your relationship with like watching yourself and listening to yourself? Like, are you the kind of person that if someone puts Ranch Water on at a party, are you like, yeah, this is my song? Or are you like, I can't stand myself? Like, what?
I'm somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Because I'm proud of it. And I'm always like, when people put it on, I'm like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. But It is a little weird. It feels a little like I disassociate, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that is a version of me. It's definitely easier to listen to myself than it is to watch myself.
Sure. Yeah.
Which I think is also why I was so excited that I could do music, because I was like, oh, I don't have to be on camera. I
Right.
don't have to be. That's amazing.
Yeah. No, it is. I'm already like cringing thinking about having to watch this podcast of myself. I'm gonna just be dissecting myself left and right.
But see, then this is where I need to take my own advice and be like, who cares?
Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares? I think
Life-
that's like the message right here. Who cares? Go do it.
Who cares? Do it.
It feels like that's kind of the spirit of the music video that you have. It's very,
is.
where it's just like, you know what? We're going to just do this, put it out there.
Yeah, we shot it in a day,
Yeah.
and it was just a fun, silly day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing cool stuff with cool people.
More of that mentality, because then when it gets into streams and money and TikTok and all the stuff,
Yeah.
it weighs on you. It changes.
Totally. So something I've noticed in the music industry is, you just brought up TikTok, but like how TikTok has become the new radio.
Yeah.
And these more and more of these musicians have to constantly be pushing out content. We've talked to another couple musicians where they're doing that, but I'm curious about your take on it. Like, do you think in order to be successful now, it's like to be that and get into that realm of people that you have to be pushing stuff out constantly? And then what's your relationship with that?
It's hard because I can't personally think of somebody who's made it, who's like had a breakout moment in the
Yeah.
past couple years that wasn't on TikTok.
Mm.
So that's really tough because I am not.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to take my own advice and just go, who cares? Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. But I think there is there's just like an old school mentality with me where I've like watched too many interviews of like Emma Thompson talking about actors who make it because of YouTube or Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah.
And she's like, but the training, and it's different with music for sure.
Yeah.
It's different, but it's just, ooh, it's
There's like
cringy.
something about being self-promotional is so tough as a creative, and it is a
So
different
tough.
skill set, right? Like
Yes.
you're an amazing songwriter and singer, but like now
I'm a terrible self-promoter.
they're going to ask you to do that, and
Yeah.
I think that's really difficult because TikTok is radio. It's
Yeah.
just, you got to get those song plays, but like,
And it's hard because when I see people, I'm so grateful for the people who make the content.
yeah,
You know, I love these humans.
Yeah.
I love these strangers. I love TikTok. I'm on it every night. I doom scroll for, like I said, a timer, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I try and like, just
Get as many in as
giggle,
possible.
and then go to bed. And it's not healthy. The blue light, I know.
Yeah.
I know it's not good. But
oh yeah, it's
you know,
killing our brains.
absolutely. But I have to give up one vice at a time.
Yeah.
And I recently gave up a vice that I'm not even going to share because I can't even admit that
Let's
I
keep these
had a
vices
vice.
to ourselves.
The vices are private.
Yeah.
But the next vice should be blue light before REM sleep.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Unless you want to just wear those blue light glasses at all times.
okay, I have a pair of blue light glasses and they don't look good on me. And that is the most devastating thing.
I don't think they look good on anyone.
I'm like, somebody's got to tap into that market.
Yeah.
Of like,
Also, are they a scam? Like, there's also
And
a
yeah,
high
and
probability that they're all just a
and
scam.
is it working?
Yeah. No, we won't ever
'Cause
know.
I have floaters
Yeah.
in my eyes.
Oh yeah. My eyes are.
Little squigglies. And I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, TikTok there are people who are so good at it. It is a
Yeah.
whole different ball game. It's a whole different skill. And I'm already like, this is the thing about being an artist. And a lot of musicians have talked about this specifically, and I'm just repeating, but like, you can be a good singer and you can be a good songwriter and you can be a good musician and you can work with great producers and people who book you a show, and then you hire the band to do that show, and then you make your own merch for that show. And oh yeah, you have to create your album art, and you're like learning graphic design as you're like becoming an artist because you're like, I need this to look good. And then it is like, there's like so many things that you're doing. And then on top of all that, for people to go, and then can you go viral?
Sure.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I am tired. I understand why this industry is like especially music is like for the children.
Yeah.
It is for the teenagers who have the energy to stay up. Oh my God. because I'm so weary.
Yeah. It's so crazy because like the biggest artists in the world are, I would say their best skill set is being a promoter. You get like the Taylor Swifts, the Drakes, they are number one at just like self-promotion. They know how to spin that. Obviously they make great music. And you know, I remember when like Lil Nas X came up and he broke down how he did Old Town Road, and it was very much like a reverse engineer. I'm going to make a viral thing. I'm going to make memes of this song before the song's even out. He was thinking that way. And I just think it's really interesting how, you know, being a musician and an artist, it really is turning into being this like internet entrepreneur, content creator now. Yeah. And I guess that's maybe every job. I guess that's what like we're currently doing. It's weird that we have to be so self-promoter, especially
it's fashion, it's products. It's
and especially like since, you know, we grew up in an era where I feel like that was frowned upon. Like the cool kids were the kids that weren't trying.
Yes.
And you now all of a sudden have to stand out, and now the cool kids are the ones that are trying, and it's just like a weird mind bend for us to get to that.
I'm so like, I don't know how to navigate being like raised in a whole society that was like, play it cool, you know, don't make it about you, be humble, like walk in confidence, but like don't be cocky, and then tell everybody every detail of your life, and like the oversharing. I'm already get such bad anxiety. Like after everything I leave, I'm like, did I talk too much. I revealed every family secret. Like I'm like that girl at the party. And then that's a whole career is like how it hinges on like how likable are you? But also don't share too much, because there are people who are like, I'm tired of seeing like there's an oversaturation or oversharing. Like there are people. It's
like,
such a fine line.
It really is. And like, who's to say? Like, it's just decides? Like the culture dictates it one day. You're like, I'm over this person.
Yeah. And trends are so hot and cold.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's so weird. I feel like as a musician, as a songwriter, I think the second you start, and really as a creative, the second you start chasing a trend, you're losing. Like in my own experience, I think like whenever you are just digging into the stuff that you like and making things that you like, hopefully you will find your audience and people will connect with it. And, you know, the CEO from Patreon has this theory where you only need like 1,000 true fans to make a really good living. So if you have 1,000 people that are just like ride or die for you, that will give you $100 a year, that's $100,000. You're making a living. And so
I need 1,000.
Yeah. So maybe start at 10. Start at 50 and find those people that are the people truly connecting. And, you know, it's a really weird thing where we're so dictated by algorithms, but just because someone sees it, it's so much more important if they're connecting with it. And those numbers are going to, of course, be down. If you have, you know, 20 likes on something, but those are 20 people that genuinely love what you're doing, that means way more than if it has 10,000 likes. People just thought it was kind of cool. They just gave it a little like.
That's so true. Quality over quantity.
Yeah. I feel like the internet kind of warps our brains that way. We were just having a discussion earlier where it's like, if you had 100 likes on something, you're like, this is okay. Yeah. But if you're in a room and 100 people off the street walked in and saw you perform and sing and then all clapped for you, you'd feel great.
Yeah.
You'd feel great.
It's so warped.
It really is. I'm really, as a child of the internet, as someone who built a career on the internet.
And you are good at internet.
Thank you.
You are.
I don't feel like it a lot of times, but.
No, you and Morgan are doing it. It's so good. Y'all inspire me.
Well.
Just had to plug that.
Thank you.
Y'all are great.
Yeah, so pause this and go watch all of our content. Then listen to Ranch Water.
But do it.
But like, it is such a weird thing where, you know, I don't know if you're like familiar, but like we're going to get now into like millennials talking about Gen Z, but but like, you know, Gen Z, like there's now a trend where they aren't bringing like their phones to parties, and they have like a second flip phone and they're bringing like a digital camera. And this is like how we were in high school doing, and they're not as connected anymore. And now the new cool thing is being offline. I kind of hope that trend continues.
It has to stay.
Yeah.
It has to stay.
We went way too far into this metaverse.
Way too far.
Yeah. And I think like that's one of those things where when you are chasing trends with algorithms and stuff, you start getting just a bunch of B- work and everything sounds the same. Where, because I think like my favorite songs, and I'm transitioning right now as a pro does, but one of my favorite songs that you have is called A Woman Named Willie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such a really sweet, specific song. And obviously, like the theme of it is like having this guilt of not calling your grandma.
Totally.
And I've definitely felt that. But I want you to kind of walk me through that, because I think when you have such a specific story to tell, it weirdly is more relatable. Even if I can't relate to the details, I can relate to the feeling of it. So how did that song come about? Tell me about Willie. I'm just fascinated by it.
So Willie Del Derryberry.
What a
is
name.
Also her real name.
So just cool names run in your family?
I guess. I don't know.
No, it's a fact. Say her name again.
Willie Del Derryberry. I know.
That is, wow.
And she's so private too, so it's hard to talk about.
Yeah, we don't have to, within reason, you know.
Well, so the general is that she is my mom's mother, and she's so special, and she lives in Oklahoma, where my mom was born and raised. And I don't even know how I got the idea for the song, but I was in Austin, Texas at the time, which was really fun. I got to record with a lot of artists out there that I adore, and I co-wrote that song with this artist named Alexander Beggins, and he's also a part of a group called Wild Child, and he's amazing. And it just came out of the place of like, write what you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so cannot write about my love life because there is nothing there. The well is dry. So I'm like, what can I pull from? And like, I've lived a pretty basic life. So I was like, man, just somebody who inspires me is Willie. And just the iconography of her life. Talk about like Gen Z versus millennial things that you don't hear about anymore. I mean, this woman did not have a TV, I think, until she was like a teenage, maybe. I don't know that she ever had a TV, actually. Didn't have a radio until she was 9, and lived in a boxcar with her she was one of 10 siblings. She was born in Texas, and then they eventually moved up to Oklahoma. It was really cool. I got to go. It was really sweet. She asked me to sing at this party. It was she had a school reunion, not a class reunion, because there was only 11 people in her class, I think.
Oh, wow.
So it was a whole school. Like, if you went to this school, come one, come all. And I got to go to that reunion. And then there was like a party after that. This man, Dewey, shout out to Dewey. He hosts these like musical gatherings at his house. I know, they don't make them like they used to. Willie, Dewey.
Dewey's a great name.
Dewey's a great name. And it's just like a bunch of people, bunch of people who can play instruments, and they get up there, and it's like people sign up or whatever. They talk to Dewey and they say, I want to sing this song, but it has to be like a classic. I think like the late, or what would that be? Like the time period of songs is like the 40s through like maybe 1969.
Okay.
You can't sing anything.
Yeah.
Like,
too new, nothing modern.
No. So I sang a Patsy Cline song and a Elvis song. No, I didn't sing Elvis. I wanted to. I sang Johnny Cash. And I sang.
Can't go wrong
Patsy
either
Cline.
way.
Can't go wrong. But that was really fun to see her life, and like the way that these people, they're real people, and they live out in the country, and they don't know about TikTok. They're not on there, you know?
It's a simple life.
It's a simpler life, and it's sweet, and the community is close, and like, man, we've really lost that. And I think I wanted to capture a little bit of that feeling in my song.
Yeah.
So it was just pure like storytelling, songwriting, not a lot of, you know.
I think we've all kind of had that moment of like reflecting on whether it be a family member or maybe a mentor or something, and kind of like having that empathy for them and seeing their life through their eyes. And I think you really captured that, of weirdly sometimes that guilt you have when you're like, oh man, she's a really special person. I should call her more and do that.
They just want to check in.
Yeah. It's the simplest things that you can do. Check in. Call your grandma.
Call your grandma.
Call your grandma. it's really that simple. But I just thought that song is just so beautiful.
Thank you.
And so pause this and go listen to that song. But I think that's for me when I heard that, it was very much like, oh, okay, you have this like country pop sound, and you're paying homage to where you come from. And I think that's really cool, specifically like in this LA music scene. I feel like sometimes that's not the cool thing to do, to go back to your roots and really find what makes you unique and honor that. And so
Yeah.
so I think that song did. And honestly, all of your music, it really like the brand is strong with your music.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Like I think when I hear a Story Slaughter song, it's like, oh yeah, there's this like fun like pop twang to it.
Thank you. Because I truly, I'll admit this here and now, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here
no
for
one
a
does.
good time.
No one does.
Some people seem like they do. They fake it really well.
They
and
know
like,
how to look like that.
Yeah, and it's funny you say like it's not cool, like that concept of like doing a song just for the love of it. Like that is I'm hoping more and more as I age that I do things that aren't cool, because I'm so tired of trying to be cool. I'm not a hottie. There are some people, they're born hotties, and that's amazing. I wasn't born that way. I tried to tap into that a little bit on stage or whatever. It's not my path. That's okay. It's okay. I'm really like owning that. I'm more of a cutie, and and my music doesn't have to be cool. Because there's so many people who like I hit the mic.
Oh, you're good.
There's so many people who like they're doing it. Like they're doing it for all of us. They're cool. Like they're tapping into the cool stuff, and they're teaching me, what I should like.
It's so funny though, because sometimes when you meet those cool people, they feel the exact same way. And I'm sure you are to a bunch of other people too. Super cool. But I don't know if you ever fully get out of that. Like, is Brad Pitt waking up being like, I'm not cool? I don't know.
I'd be shocked.
I'd be shocked if he looks in the mirror and doesn't think.
I think like, whoa, then we really are all just one delusional, like we just need to walk in the, if we just believe it, we just walk in the confidence, then we're good.
Yeah. There's kind of a safety there. If like everybody here doesn't think they're cool, all right, there's something kind of cool about that, and we can just,
safe.
Own it. Yeah.
Because in LA especially, I think everybody moved out here because they want to be cool.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to don't be this. I don't know how this has become a topic of like how to be cool, but I just think that
that'll be the title of this episode.
If you try to be cool, you're not cool.
Yeah.
So you just gotta be
cool.
Yeah, you just gotta be cool.
Everyone's like, I really love this podcast, and then they're just talking about being cool, and I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like you're at this phase in your career now where
tell me, where am I?
I'm very curious. One, as a fan of your music, but also, as a friend too. But I want to know what is next for you, and I'm curious to know like where you're at currently in life.
I am too. I don't know where I am, but I have so I have this song that I'm going to put out.
Okay.
And this is going to be like the ultimate test of like, did I do what I said I was going to do, where I didn't allow its success to like fill my self-worth and like define how I feel about myself as an artist and a person. Like, can she do it? Can she get back to the healthy place of like just not allowing something that you do or you make to define like your worth? I just said the same thing twice. I just said it again,
it's a good thing.
It's longer.
Can I get an amen? Say it again. I feel like someone once told me that it's about trying to create out of inspiration instead of aspiration. And that's something that's really hard that I definitely struggle with. And like we're saying, like when you have a success, like you're trying to get that again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in order to achieve that, you can't make that the goal.
Yeah.
It's a very double-edged sword there.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put this song out. I'm going to put the music video foreign film thing that it is.
Oh, we're so excited.
It's going to be really fun. I'd love to play another show soon just because it's like been a minute. But other than that, I feel like the songs I'm writing more recently are really just like kind of me testing myself of like, can I write songs on my own that I really enjoy, that are really personal, that I want to share? Because I think, well, I'll say this. I just like had a breakup with my management. Like I was dropped.
Okay.
So I'm in a vulnerable place where, but it's good. It's like, it was, it's,
there's something kind of freeing about that,
it's
right?
a clearing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, new, like it's
I was dropped by an
new-
agent before. I was rep by WME and got dropped, and it was it was like a big ego hit for me, but it was probably the best thing that ever happened. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually like, it's a blessing. It's an absolute blessing.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. But I think it's nice because I'm like, I get like clean slate. It's tabula rasa. Is that how you say that? Like it's, I'm starting fresh, and with that. So before I was put in a lot of like, sessions where I'd write music with people because I was too insecure to say I was good enough on my own. Because I wrote Ranch Water with Susie, and I was like, I think I always need somebody.
Yeah.
And I've been just writing a lot of songs on my own, and we'll see. They're very simple.
Yeah.
It's not too complicated. I don't see myself as like a very I don't think I'm a great musician. I think I'm pretty basic rudimentary skills with like guitar and piano and stuff. But I think I have good taste, and I listen to a lot of people who inspire me and are amazing and better than me. And then I go, okay, maybe I can kind of, emulate that here or whatever. And it's been fun and freeing to write those songs, and we'll see if I ever make enough money to put them out.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing, is like,
that's the
it's
harsh
been a very
reality.
start-stop journey.
Yeah.
Of like doing music, and then, I don't have any money, so I got to go get a real job and like work that for 8 months, and then live, and then save, and then with all of those savings, put them back into music. And it's been unsustainable. So we'll see. We will see.
That's the reality of being a working entertainer in LA that I feel like a lot of people don't see is that grind that you have to go from, all right, I'm performing, I'm headlining this show tonight, and then tomorrow I'm at my day job.
Yeah.
And that is two polar opposites of a person, but that's very much the reality here.
It's very real.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy.
I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of people who just like are listening that can relate to that. I'm one of them. I get it. It's tough.
It's really tough.
Yeah. But
and you see some people that you admire, and they're like, to you, they've hit that, maybe the mountaintop, or they're having this peak experience, and then they like go off grid for a little bit, and you just assume they're doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, their mental health was not good.
Yeah.
They needed a job. They needed to reevaluate their whole situation. Like, that's more the story that you are like, I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And it feels good to know that we're not alone, but it's also like, wow, this industry needs to change.
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
I know.
Because we all love music, and we all love movies and art, and like, we need it to, like, I think that was the other thing about the pandemic that was really cool, was I was like, people need art. Everybody was like, okay, next movie, next TV show, next song, next project, next whatever, and it's summer in LA. It is summer in LA. The flies be.
A fly just buzzed around for those that are listening. Okay, well, I just have like a couple more things for you, but I guess like for that person, so that story who during the pandemic sat and wrote Ranch Water.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably someone right now that's listening to this or watching this that's kind of at that point where it's kind of like am I going to do this? If I'm not, I'm a little too afraid to step out of there. Like what's your advice for that person?
Oh, definitely do it. Just do it, Nike. But like, do it because you love it, and do it for yourself. Don't do it for the affirmation or praise of anybody else. If you get that affirmation or praise, take that as a sign. And if you don't, that's okay. You're either the same. My friend Lucy just said this to me. She goes, you're either in the same place that you were, or you're in a better place. That's the risk.
It's as simple as that.
So you're either staying, like your life looks the same, like, oh, okay, whatever, or you're moving towards something exciting. And so, but you cannot know until you take the risk. And like, I've had so much fun getting to do music these past couple of years. Like, if you told little story, like you're gonna sing songs on this at the Troubadour or whatever it is, you know, you're gonna meet these people. And like, I can't believe it's my life, but I think every artist feels this way at some point where it's like, oh, wow. Like we stayed in the queue and we did it. And it's just, I have a massive applause for anybody who just tries. Just try.
Just try.
Just try.
Trying is cool.
Trying is
Don't
cool.
try to be cool, but try. That's what makes you cool.
Because that's cool.
Wow. That's the thesis.
We're cracking the code.
Right here. We have it all figured out, folks.
Yeah.
Well, Story, I think that's actually a great place to just leave it at.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think this was awesome. I really enjoyed this conversation. And
Zach, I've had a great time. I also need you to know I'm sweating in
I
my
am
leather.
Too. I'm not wearing leather.
See,
and
I tried to be cool. And guess what? I'm just a sweaty girl.
That's the realness here.
And that's cool.
Well, Story Slaughter, thank you so much for coming on the
Zack
show.
Evans with a K. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored. I love Create.Repeat. I love it.
Amazing. We're going to clip that right there. I love Create.Repeat.
I love Create.Repeat.
Until next time, folks, thanks for listening and watching.
Disconnected but doing what I was called to do. In tune, tuned in full pursuit. And I've seen what karma can do. So do good and let that good come.